Hello everybody. Doing a quick video here on a pedal I just came up with the other day. This is I'm calling it the ZigZag. So let's start off with what the enclosure is, and then we'll talk about the circuit. The enclosure, this guy right here, is a Mercury 702 sewing machine foot switch. Mercury was a brand, I guess. I don't even know if they're still around. Assuming they're not, but they could be. I don't know. And they made foot switches to control the speed of a sewing machine. And companies like Singer or Husqvarna would contract out to them to build them these pedals. And they make a couple of different models, but this is the model 702. There's also a model 701, which looks identical, except it was designed to use with the knee, so it had this weird metal bracket where that screw hole is, or that screw is. And it allowed you to use your knee as well as your foot, I guess. I'm not sure. So what this is, this would sit on the floor, you'd step on that, and your sewing machine would go faster or slower. Inside of this would have been a rheostat, and there's a reason why I bring that up. You'll see these holes here on either side. And I think that was to keep the rheostat cool, or give the rheostat circulation. So on one of the pedal builder forums, there's a person that posted a picture of them grabbing one of these at a flea market for next to nothing. And I'm like, this is probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen for a pedal enclosure. It's a perfect size. It's a good shape. It's got really cool lines to it. I'll show you in a little bit. But for size comparison, if you want something like this on your pedal board, this is a typical, was it a 125B 1590N enclosure size? So you can see they're comparable in size. And then if you look at this compared to a old Ross style, oh, you don't need that. It's a little bit narrower than the Ross, maybe a little bit taller, but still, I would say fairly pedal board friendly size. So it's not huge, it's not massive. So the pedal itself, very cool. I bought it just like this. I believe this is a factory color. This is a hammered blue. Really, really cool color and great shape. And it makes for a perfect pedal as far as I'm concerned. I think it looks great. It has a great look to it. Look at that. I mean, that almost looks like an alien there coming in, or some kind of robot. Just very sci-fi-ish. So, I actually bought another one of these, and I'm going to put a different circuit into it. This is not an official Jersey Devil Pedal Company pedal at this point. It may, if I get enough people that are interested, I might build a few more of these. It's not going to be in this color. It's probably going to be in a silver color, but we'll see what we could do. I'm limited to the colors I have available to me as far as paint goes. This is probably from, I'd say, the 60s, maybe 70s. I don't know exactly. I don't know when Mercury was making these. It sounds like they had a fairly large career in production, so who knows. But anyway, I haven't seen any other ones in this color. And the funny thing is, now I'm looking for these on eBay because they are dirt cheap. I paid, and this is going to sound high for what this is, but hear me out. I paid $20 for this. That includes shipping and handling. If I was going to buy a powder-coated enclosure, that would be a good $15 right there. It could be even more. And then you have to add shipping and handling on top of that, unless you're going to buy more stuff and you get shipping for free. But for $20, not bad. I found another one for, I don't know, like $10, and then like $5 for shipping and handling. The person throws me an offer for $6. So I think in total I have $11 into the other pedal coming in. There's another one I was watching. I got an offer for that for like $5 off and this and that. So you could get these things for as low as $10, $11 shipped on eBay. Great pedal platform, as long as you keep it with a simple, small circuit. So with that being said, let's talk about the circuit. We're going to flip it over. Now the circuit we're going with here is a Gretsch Controfuzz. So I'm sure some of you have never heard of this. It's an odd circuit. It's interesting because it's a fuzz pedal that had a blend control on it. So your clean signal, your dry signal, never went away. You always had the clean signal fairly in front of the fuzz itself. And the blend control just allowed you to blend in the fuzz. Now, because of that, the fuzz was always on full blast. Very heavy fuzz, very heavy saturation. So really, really in your face. The problem is, because of the way the original circuit was designed, all you did was you just increased the amount of the fuzz effect, but it never fully took over. So you always had a clean signal, and that was one constant volume essentially. When you turn the volume control, obviously the clean would go up, but the fuzz would stay very constant. It would come up a little bit, but it was always, the clean is there. And if I'm going to have a fuzz pedal, if I'm going to make a fuzz pedal, I want a fuzz pedal, I want it to be that, a fuzz pedal. I want it to be a dirt pedal. I want it to be, gainy and saturating my tone and all that. I don't want to have a clean blend. And I know for bass players, that's something that they want. For guitar players, this really doesn't come in handy, I don't think, at least in my opinion. So I took the Gretsch Controfuzz circuit and I modified it. And what I did was I put a gain control in. And that gives me the ability to dial back the gain. Now, it's still gainy. It's very gainy, even with the gain all the way down. And I have reduced the gain fairly large amount. Originally, it had certain values on resistors that was really high. And the idea was that'll keep the gain there, and it'll keep the gain in your face and up front and really, high gain. But again, because of the blend circuit, it really wasn't there. So I guess they were trying to compensate by making it overly gainy, even though you couldn't hear the gain as well. I reduced some of those resistors, I made some changes, I changed some capacitor values, and I kind of redid the circuit to suit my needs. The other thing is, these were built on an integrated circuit that is no longer available. It seems to be extremely obscure and odd, and you're not going to find it. I don't even remember the number of it. It's not relevant because you can't find it anyway. A lot of the schematics today are saying use a 5532 or a TL072. I decided to go with a 1458. Now, I've tried a couple of different op amps, and the 1458 sounded the best to me. Again, that's all subjective. So this is a 1458. I built it originally with the 5532. The 5532 had a very metallic-y sound, almost robotic, which kind of fits the aesthetics of the pedal, but I needed something a little bit more usable. All right, so with that being said, and just to go over what that's there for, there's usually a hole there, and this is where the knee pedal part would be. I'll try to show you this here. We have a standard foot switch, a standard three-pole double throw foot switch right there. This top part here, the original pedal switch, has a huge throw to get down to the actual top of this. So that screw right there was actually the original screw that held the rheostat into the case. So I just cut it off a little bit, put a nut on the back, and now it basically reduces the travel. So instead of having from the bottom to there, I only have, very little. So that's just something I wanted to do to make it a little bit easier and more usable for me. All right, so with that being said, here's our clean sound. We're running through a Gibson, the amp is a Gibson GA30 RVT from the early 60s. The guitar is an Ibanez Q series, and I'm going to tell you guys up front right now, my arthritis is really hitting me hard these days, so my playing is fairly sloppy and inaccurate. The funny thing is, the more I practice, the worse it gets. I guess it's part of getting old. So, anyway, this is clean in humbucker mode. And this is clean in single coil mode. We have the gain turned all the way down, so for your reference, that is gain or fuzz, and that's volume. I should be roughly at unity with volume right now. And I'm back in humbucker mode. Like I said, gain is all the way down. Going into single coil mode. And that is the bridge pickup, so just for reference. We're going to turn the gain up to roughly, let's say halfway. I'm guessing that's halfway. Let's see, yeah, that's about halfway. You could hear when you're playing chords, the gain is a lot more in your face, more saturation. Going to single coil mode. It cleans up a little bit there. You get a little bit more articulation with your notes. And now let's crank the gain. Still in single coil mode. Going into humbucker mode. And now I'm going to switch to the neck pickup. It gets fairly dark, but I'm rolling the tone all the way off. And I love the sound you can get out of this. Especially when you turn this down, turning the gain down. Switch over to single coil mode. So that's the ZigZag. Like I said, this is not an official Jersey Devil pedal company pedal at this time. If I do it, I'll probably use the Controfuzz, the modified Controfuzz circuits, simply because it's fairly easy to do. It's easy enough to get the parts for, and it sounds good, especially if you like lots of fuzz. Again, it would be a different color, but, you know, let's see if I get enough, we'll say, positive feedback. If I get enough likes on this video or something, or if someone comes to me and says, hey, I really want one of these, I'll build a couple. If I get enough, I'll build, you know, my minimum of 5, and then I'll throw them up on Reverb, and we'll go from there. So, if you got any questions, hit me up, let me know. Yeah, and this was just a fun little project. And the other one that's coming in, the other pedal shell enclosure foot switch, that I'm going to turn into an old muff fuzz. So not a big muff, but, you know, the Electro Harmonics made this small little one that basically had a volume control and an on-off switch, or a boost switch. I'm probably going to make my own version of that, maybe putting in a drive control, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And that I hope to build sometime next week. I started building the circuit, and that's just for my own personal amusement. This, you know, great pedal. One of the problems, though, is you're limited on circuit size. You can put in a bigger circuit, but then it gets a little messy. The other thing is, and here's the bottom. Yeah, I know I had a sign and all that. The way the bottom goes on, it slides on, and it has these locking tabs right here. So it's difficult to get the bottom on and off. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see the locking tab. So this tab here and that tab there. And basically they form like hooks. So when you put this on, and it sits on like this, but it slides on like that, it takes a lot of force to get it off. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put a battery into this. You could, you know, obviously I could take this and move it up and put a 9-volt right there. Here's a 9-volt. It would fit fairly well, actually. You could probably even squeeze it there. No, it wouldn't fit, but it could be done. The problem is, you would have to cut this up to have like the battery cover plate so you could get into it. You do not want to pull this on and off a bunch of times to get in there. It'll drive you nuts. So if I was going to build these, it's going to be like most of my other pedals. It's going to be, you know, 9-volt power supply only, nothing else. So anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.